The Franklin County Board of Commissioners General Session meeting for Tuesday, March 27, 2018. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Brown.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Continuing on with our celebration and honoring of Women's History Month, today with us we have the Women's Fund of Central Ohio. Sarah Parisser, did I say that right? Parisser is with us, and she's the Director of Grant Programs, and Urvi Patel, Director of Strategic Communications, is also with us. We'd love to have you say a few words at the mic. If you could say your name and your organization once again for the record.
Urvi Patel, Director of Strategic Communications with the Women's Fund.
And Sarah Pariser, Director of Grants and Programs.
So we want to thank you so much for taking the opportunity to have us here today. We think there is a lot of opportunity for women and girls in our community, and the Women's Fund is well positioned to do some great work within that space. And so our State House Day this year, which Commissioner Brown joined us for, and thank you for that, marked not only the beginning of Women's History Month, but also marked what we found to be the energy and enthusiasm for the work that we are doing for women and girls and tackling the critical issues that they face in our community. And so what we did at State House Day is we talked about our new strategic agenda. And our strategic agenda was approved this past December by our board. And what it does is it's really kind of bold and transformative, and it's focused. And so we took a look at, the data and what it told us in terms of what we need to do for the next 3 years for women and girls. And so we focused our priority areas around those issues. And those issues we found, our two overarching areas are economic empowerment for women and girls and leadership for women and girls. And under those areas, we went ahead and focus a little more on specific issues that we can work on. And so those are, under economic empowerment, the cost of childcare and the benefits cliff, reducing teen pregnancy through access to comprehensive medically accurate sex education, and through improved access of contraception. And then we also looked at, and are going to look at, paid leave policies and how we improve them, and pay equity. And then under leadership for women and girls, we're going to focus on fostering women's philanthropy, improving advocacy training and focusing on voters' rights and informed voting, increasing the number of women running for office, and then building the pipeline for the next generation. So looking at girls' leadership more critically and how we can grant make and how we can fund the programs that build that pipeline for us. And so we do our work in five key ways. And so we say we grant make. So we're a grant making body. We like to build and believe in building the capacity and the resources of our community to tackle the work where we cannot in our issue areas more specifically. We work on research, and so every about 2 years we commission original research to focus on the areas that are critical in our community. So we highlight what's happening. We also kind of forecast with that research. So what are the issues that we should be focusing on that can really transform the lives of women and girls in the next several years to come? And then we focus on advocacy. So in terms of advocacy, we build that training muscle to understand what are the issues affecting women and girls, and how can we all lend our voices? So we look at empowering and engaging our community in that work. We also focus on partnerships because we believe that there are a lot of organizations working on issues affecting women and girls. What we don't want to do is be redundant with that. We want to overlap and overlay where there's necessary and be a collective power to get that work done. And then we also do community education. So the more that we deepen the bench and understanding of the issues, we believe that the more impact we can make. And so that's kind of how we have framed our work and our agenda for the next 3 years. Sarah is going to just kind of give you a brief overview of what's on deck for the year to come for us.
Great, thank you. So what that looks like, that focused impact for women and girls in Central Ohio over the next year, starting with our grant making, we will continue to provide capacity building to the 15 grant partners that we have this year. This fall, we will also build our community-focused funding model. So we train over 200 women, men, and high school students to read and evaluate grant proposals, and welcome anyone who's interested to be a part of that process this fall. As Orvi mentioned, our research, so you have copies of our Spark report. So we are commissioning issue briefings to paint the picture of what's the data, what's the need, and story for those priority areas that Orvi touched on. And those will be shared with the public on our website. All of our data is accessible, and hopefully will continue to further the impact of the work. And we're also going to be looking at this concept of the wealth gap. So when we talk about economic empowerment, it's more than the self-sufficiency of meeting basic needs, but we'll be commissioning research to understand better what are the factors that contribute to a woman being able to have savings accumulated at the throughout the course of her life, but then also what are the factors that prohibit that, and how can we apply an intersectional lens, knowing that for women of color, that wealth gap is much larger. We will continue to build on community education and the advocacy by bringing together issue forums with a gender lens to understand how issues on the ballot impact women and families differently. And we're going to continue to build our work on gender bias. So we, in the last year, have created a toolkit called Gender by Us to bring people together in conversation to disrupt gender bias. And we're turning that into a social enterprise model so that we'll be able to better fund the work that we're doing to fund more grants. By really focusing that gender bias conversation within organizations with recommendations for policies and practices to create a gender equitable environment at work. And then, as Orvi mentioned, we will continue to be that convener to bring organizations together. So as we look to Equal Pay Day for the average of Equal Pay Day next month, April 10th, in advance of that, we will be convening women's organizations from across Central Ohio in our office to come together and really understand what are we each doing, how can we support each other, where are there gaps, where are there opportunities for deeper collaboration to have that social change impact really maximized, because we know that while we are focusing in Central Ohio, so many of these issues that we're focusing on will have a statewide ripple effect.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming down today and sharing with us the direction of the Women's Fund and more importantly, its impact long-term here in Central Ohio. Last week we heard from the YWCA and learned a lot of history about women in Central Ohio connected to the YWCA. But I think what the Women's Fund represents, so YWCA represented sort of the history. It seems like what you represent is the future. And I'm really excited about the work you're doing and can't wait to look through all of these materials a little closer and work closer with you.
There's a lot of information that you've provided that we have seen online. Did you happen to see the article in today's paper about the OSU sociology study on women who are not, smart women in college are not being looked at as closely for jobs? There's an article in today's Dispatch, and it goes to that gender bias and the gender bias in certain fields that we tend to think of as pretty good for anybody. And the sociologist at OSU took a study using fake profiles that were pretty much alike, and the women that were in the highest academic levels weren't getting calls back for interviews and things. So I know what you're doing is going to have an impact, and in that arena I think it's critically important. And as we get our young girls and women up to speed on leadership skills, leadership ability that you're working on with other organizations, we'll be in much better shape. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. All right, next we have, or first up rather, we have the Court of Common Pleas.
Resolution number 237-18, authorizing an addendum to the existing contract with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction for the Community Correction/Prison Diversion 407 program of the Common Pleas Court. Addendum increase of $8,962.82 for the new grant of $4,480,406.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kimberly Canada, Director of Finance for the Common Pleas Court, and with me is Susan Bedso, Deputy Court Director. This grant addendum restores the funding previously reduced from the Community Corrections Prison Diversion Grant, which funds from ODRC, Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, for state fiscal year 18 and 19. It provides funding for about 16.8 FTEs who provides services for intensive supervision for offenders. It is estimated that a little over 1,400 will be diverted from prison. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
I will move for approval of 23718.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 237-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 238-18, authorizing addendum to the existing contract with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction for the Community Correction/Jail Diversion 408 program of the Common Pleas Court. Addendum increase of $1,145,482 for a new grant of $7,227,406.
This grant addendum also restores the funding to the Community Corrections Jail Diversion. It is funding a little over 4.23 FTEs that provides pretrial services for offenders. It is estimated that a little over 1,400 will be diverted from jail. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
So these are just two different sources of funds being restored, which is great.
Yes.
I'll move for approval of 23818.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 238-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff's Office.
Resolution number 239-18, authorizing the removal of waste materials from Sheriff's Office Training Academy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Masterson, Director of Administrative Services for Sheriff Dallas Baldwin. This resolution authorizes the removal of residual waste materials from the firing range mining that was conducted in fourth quarter 2017. Pending no questions, we ask approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 23918.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 239-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 240-18, authorizing settlement to Cynthia Forsythe for a disputed vehicle damage claim to an auto accident involving Franklin County Sheriff's deputy in the amount of $500.
Commissioners, this resolution approves a settlement from an accident that occurred on October 17, 2017. It's been recommended by the prosecutor and fleet management and offers payment in the amount of $500 to settle the claim. Pending any questions, we ask approval of this resolution.
Move for approval of 24018.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 240-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 241-18, authorizing a settlement to Nicholas Flynn for a disputed vehicle damage claim due to an auto accident involving Franklin County Sheriff's deputy in the amount of $385.52.
This resolution approves the settlement of a vehicle damage claim from an accident that occurred on December 14, 2017. It has been recommended by the prosecutor and county fleet management as well and offers payment in the amount of $385.52. With no questions, we ask approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 24118.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 241-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 242-18, authorizing a settlement to Muskegon County for a disputed vehicle damage claim due to an auto accident involving Franklin County Sheriff's deputy in the amount of $1,745.80.
Finally, Commissioners, this resolution approves a settlement of a vehicle damage claim from an accident that occurred earlier this month. It has been recommended by the prosecutor and county fleet management as well to settle the payment or settle the claim in the amount of $1,745.80. And pending any questions, we ask approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 24218.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 242-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Drainage Engineer.
Resolution number 243-18, approving a ditch maintenance petition for Weldon Phase 1 and Phase 2, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Cornell Robertson, Franklin County Engineer.
And I'm Carla Marable.
Commissioners, this first resolution is for a subdivision in the northeast part of the county in Jefferson Township. It's on the west side of Reynoldsburg New Albany Road, south of Clark State Road by MI Homes. And this particular resolution is for a drainage maintenance petition and is ready for your approval.
Move approval of 243-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 243-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 244-18, establishing, altering, and widening of Havens Corner Road, County Road number 16 at Morrison Farms East Drive, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, declared necessary.
Commissioners, this project is also associated with a subdivision there in Jefferson Township by Rockford Homes. And this project will widen Havens Corners Road for a westbound left turn lane into the subdivision. So this resolution is the first in a series of two to declare the project necessary.
Move for approval of 244-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 244-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 245-18, Michael Baker International Incorporated Consulting Engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer in performing a preliminary engineering study for Winchester Pike between Hamilton Road and Gender Road, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $88,674.
Commissioners, this resolution is for a corridor study in the southeast part of Franklin County in Madison Township. It will be along Winchester Pike from Hamilton Road to Gender Road. Winchester Pike is a very heavily traveled county route and experiences situations when there may be traffic problems on US 33. And so we want to take a look at this corridor, look at the intersections, and discover any improvements that may need to be implemented.
Great. I'll move approval of 245-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 245-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 246-18, approval of the Weldon's Phase Subdivision Flat, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, this resolution seeks approval of a plat for the Phase 1 of the Weldon subdivision. The subdivision is located in Jefferson Township, west of Reynoldsburg New Albany Road. Approval of this plat will allow the developer to move forward and begin the sale on 39 of the new lots in the subdivision.
Move for approval of 246-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 246-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you like, we can stay for the next two resolutions.
Oh, those are yours. That's correct.
They
Yeah,
are.
Board of Commissioners. So you should do that.
Resolution number 247-18, authorizing the execution of an easement to Columbia Gas of Ohio Incorporated for land owned by the Franklin County Commissioners, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, this next resolution authorizes to grant an easement to Columbia Gas of Ohio. They currently have a project to upgrade a 15-mile segment of existing gas service, and one of the properties necessary is owned by the Commissioners. This easement will accommodate a permanent easement as well as a temporary easement, and Columbia Gas of Ohio will compensate the Board of Commissioners in the amount of $1,551.
Move approval of 247-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 247-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 248-18, authorizing the conveyance of real property located on Wiggins Road for the purpose of transferring excess land from right-of-way.
Commissioners, we previously had a Riggins Road improvement project that was a collaborative project with the City of Hilliard and a private developer. The project required the purchase of right-of-way for use in the construction of the roadway. The City of Hilliard compensated Franklin County for that purchase and requested that upon completion of the project, that land was transferred back to them.
Move approval of 248-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 246-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a successful Township Trustees Dinner. It
Oh.
was really very good.
Yeah, very nice.
And people liked the change.
Yep, glad to hear it. I enjoyed it. I hope everyone else did too. So, very good.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, fleet management.
Resolution number 249-18, authorizing a contract extension to Byers Ford LLC for the provision of supply and delivery of fleet automobiles for the Franklin County Fleet Management Department in the amount of $1,500,000.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Charlotte Ashcraft, Director of Fleet Management. The resolution before you is requesting authorization to extend the fleet automobiles contract for 1 year. The original contract with Byers Ford was approved on March 1st, 2016 under Resolution 0136-16. The original contract was for 2 years with the option to extend for 3 one-year periods, and this is the first extension. Pending any questions, I request passage of this resolution.
Move for passage of 249-18.
Second.
Moved to second voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 249-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Economic development and planning.
Resolution number 250-18, authorizing an economic development agreement with Columbus 2020 to conduct economic development activities on behalf of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners in the amount of $1 million.
Director Schimmer, before you start, I was going to play a joke on you today, and as you came up and we did economic development, turn off all the lights. Like
Now that's when
so,
Michael comes up.
Yeah, we got to wait for
the
that part.
second resolution.
Yeah, rumor has it we do our best work in the dark, but I don't know whether
That's the scary
that was
part.
interesting briefing.
That was good, yeah.
One I won't ever forget. Commissioners, James Schimmer, Director of Economic Development and Planning. I'm here this morning to ask for your approval of a resolution that is our annual agreement with Columbus 2020 to conduct economic development services on behalf of the county. As you know, Commissioners, this is a contract that is made between the Board of Commissioners and Columbus 2020 to support our regional economy in the economic development activities that go on in Franklin County that focus in on new business development, job creation, and job retention. We have 4 main categories that we base our contract on. The first of which is a national and international marketing program for Franklin County and the Columbus region. Columbus 2020 does proactive existing industry outreach for us. They promote and facilitate entrepreneurship and have been very helpful in civic infrastructure as well as international business development. So with that in mind, I am really pleased to tell you that the contract has led to these results in 2017 in Franklin County specifically. 2020 has announced 54 projects in Franklin County, 4,851 new jobs, $560 million worth of new capital investment. They've helped create over $221 million worth of payroll. 24,000 jobs have been retained, and the jobs that they've worked on have had an average wage of $52,000. So we're getting a tremendous return on our investment. That was the way we had hoped it would work way back when the organization was stood up and created. Here this morning is Kenny McDonald, and I was going to ask Kenny if he could say a few words, and certainly any questions that you might have.
Please, Kenny. Sure. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners.
First of all, thank you to the Commission and Franklin County for all of the investment and support that we receive. Commissioner Brown sits on our board, and we're very thankful for that engagement. That leadership is extremely important, not only for the organization, but for the entire region. I'm just build on a couple of things that Jim said. First of all, it's a pretty fantastic era to be in Franklin County. Commissioner Boyce joined us for a delegation from Dubai yesterday, and in his comments, I'll just echo a few of them. We've been top 10 region for the last 6 years now, nationally, and that's something that has never happened before. Columbus 2020 did not exist in 2010. And this past year, we were selected as the #1 brand in economic development around the country. So that's thanks to, again, your leadership and investment in our organization. We're making lists like the Amazon list and things like that, which I think actually really helps us. That and being on the smart cities effort and the investment in that you've made. When we arrive around the world to meet with companies, they know where we're from and who we are, and so we're already well beyond the starting line, and that was not the case 8 or 9 years ago. And as you know, the Census Bureau is also proving that it's not just marketing. We are now, I think, the most powerful economic region in Ohio, soon to be the largest overall metro area, and Franklin County is the largest. In fact, we have 6 of the fastest growing counties in Ohio and some of the fastest growing counties in the United States in our region. And that speaks well to the sort of talent that we're recruiting. Your investment's being leveraged, so we have over 300 private investors who are investing every day in the effort as well, and communities all across our 11-county region are joining you with public investment. Jim mentioned some of those results. Here in Franklin County, they're fantastic. They're also being happening all around us, which is helpful. For every dollar invested in our organization, the return is over $470 per dollar invested. So really fantastic stuff going on. How we're doing that, we were on 54 missions last year, 21 cities around North America, 8 different countries, hosting delegations. In fact, today, the Dubai delegation that Commissioner Boyce joined us for yesterday is also joined by a delegation from about 25 Japanese companies that are visiting our region to learn more about smart cities work we're doing. And that work continues every day. The focus of the future, and particularly this year, is going to be a lot of fun. So now it's time to start thinking about beyond 2020. And Commissioner Brown knows this from our board meetings, but we're thinking very seriously about what's next. And whether that's a 2025 plan or a 2030 plan, we're not sure. We're beginning the economic analysis and work with a focus on a few things. One is to not forget our mission, which is to generate opportunities for the companies and the people of this region right now, and then to bring additional opportunities to the table. Perhaps a renewed focus, or maybe more of a point of emphasis, is to make sure that economic benefit that we're speaking about gets to every neighborhood and every community across our 11 counties. Because we know that we still have people that are struggling. We still have communities and neighborhoods that are struggling, even with all of the growth and good things that are happening economically. And that requires some additional work and perhaps some change in the tactics that we're going to undertake in the future. I applaud your efforts to do your own planning. One thing that we have in our organization is something called Prepared Communities Win, which is we feel more strongly every day that it's a very disruptive economic time. It's a challenging time for communities as well as our companies. We have to work together to plan for the future, and we have to be prepared for those opportunities should they come. And that requires doing the work, doing the economic analysis, looking at the data, challenging ourselves to do things differently. And you're doing that, and I applaud the work that Jim's starting out to do for Franklin County in that regard, and we're going to join him in that effort to try to make that even better. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
I'll just add that it was a pleasure to sit with the group from Dubai yesterday with yourself and really see Columbus 2020 in action. I think it's one thing to see results and to see, because when someone brings you a baked cake, it's nice and it looks good and you eat it and as well, but you don't always appreciate what it took to bake the cake, the ingredients and the prep and all of that. And seeing it yesterday really just reassured me that we are investing in the right way. And I was sharing with the delegation that you spend 5 minutes in downtown Columbus and you'll be overwhelmed by the cranes and the construction going on. And really in any part of central Ohio, quite frankly, whether it's our highway or in any one of our suburbs or communities, growth, we're exploding right now. And you're a part of that formula. And so I want to thank you for that work. This is, I think, a very appropriate investment, because if you just look at the 4,851 jobs alone, you talked about everyone experiencing an opportunity. Well, those are families that are eating. Those are families that have a home and are able to send their kids to school and so forth and so on. And so we're all in this together. It's a part of the formula, and this is one of those things where the return on the investment is as solid as they come. And so thanks for your work, and I look forward to the continued partnership.
I have only one other thing to say, because I agree with everything that Kevin has said. I think that the work focus and our investment in a focused effort like this to get people and companies to employ people here in this region is really critically important, and important for all of us to acknowledge the hard work that it takes to bring all of the pieces together so that you can have a healthy community. And 2020 has been seeing that over the last couple of years, that we really need to focus on the workforce piece of things, because without the people to do the work, it doesn't matter who we bring in. We're just not going to have trained workers. So all of our other efforts in workforce development go along with what 2020 does.
The relocation guide that I handed out was something that we did last year in partnership with a dispatch, an ad-free relocation guide. It's not meant for you. Give it to friends and family and the people visiting for the Final Four this week, and make sure that they know that there's terrific communities to live across our region. And let's bring them here and get them employed and get them making us an even better place.
Great. Thank you.
I do want to add one thing, though. I forget, and it's just the strategic part that goes into this, because this group from Dubai yesterday, what's interesting is how Rickenbacker factors into that kind of, and so years ago, that partnership was made with the city of Columbus and Franklin County, and it really created an explosion, an undergirding of the explosion that we really aren't talking about. And just hearing the delegation from Dubai talk about the importance of that, the value of that, and that is part of the equation, it just goes to show that this isn't accidental. The growth isn't accidental. It's one of these things that the leadership of Central Ohio it's been planned, it's been thoughtful, and invested in correctly. And like you said, then we take our pieces and coordinate them, whether it's workforce development or jobs and family services or whatever, and make sure that the entire net is touching everyone. And so it's really strategic stuff, and it's fun to watch. It was fun to be in that room and to hear the group from Dubai really talking about Central Ohio and why they were looking at expanding operations and investing more. And it's real. And I just want people to know, we're not just a part of this explosion and growth. You are. The public is very much, this is your community, and it's working for you. So good things are happening in Central Ohio. Thanks, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny.
I'll move approval of Resolution 250-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 250-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 251-18, authorizing a new employee training grant agreement with the Fortuity Calling LLC to provide employee training for low-income Franklin County residents as part of the company's commitment to begin operations within Franklin County in the amount of $500,000.
Morning, Commissioners. Michael Salvador is joining me. He is our workforce navigator, and you both hit on the notion of focusing on workforce and the fact that sometimes it takes a little bit of effort and extra work to get deals done. This is a perfect example of that, and we're very, very pleased to bring this project forward to you this morning. I'll let Michael take you through it. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Salvador, Workforce Navigator, Franklin County Economic Development and Planning. This project is a long time coming, and it's very special for our agency and for the county. Fortuity Calling is a startup call center operation that will be located in Franklinton. They intend to hire 300 low-income individuals over the next 5 years as part of phase one of a grand project that will hopefully involve creating a, multi-site, 1,000, 2,000 person aspirational operation. Our grant agreement will provide $500,000 in reimbursable. It's a reimbursable grant, and what that means is that the company is not going to get paid until they have hired and trained an individual and pay them a certain wage threshold that is set out in the contract. There's 3 different wage thresholds set at specific numbers that are indexed to inflation: $11 an hour, $13 an hour, and $15 an hour. And we've designed the contract that way to incentivize the company to keep their word, essentially. That, their intention is to take folks, hire them in at entry-level positions, train them up, give them a career path internally in that company. And so we will provide training dollars along the way as that individual progresses through the company and builds skills. We are fortunate to have the president and CEO of the company, Fred Brothers, as well as the leaders of his partner organization. So I'd like to invite up to the microphone 4 fantastic individuals to explain the ins and outs of this project, what the company is, the story behind why this has come to be, as well as how the partner organizations of Columbus Works and Columbus Early Learning Centers fit in.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Jim. After I heard about the briefing, I wore comfortable shoes in case we have to walk some steps. I haven't decided how I will take it if the lights go off again. I'm going to encourage you all to take it as a sign that you should pass the measure and support the project. Fortuity Calling is a social enterprise that offers good jobs and wage advancement to low-income Franklin County residents who want to work their way out of poverty. Philosophically, we believe that poverty can only be broken with sustained employment. You have to find someone who's willing to work, help them gain the skills that are worth more money, help them find a job where they can apply those skills and get paid for them, and really important, help them stay employed. Over time, this enables them to gain more skills and more work experience, earn advancement, and gradually work their way from poverty into economic self-sufficiency, and ultimately some measure of prosperity. That's our goal. That's why we all do this kind of work. Fortuity began 3 years ago to bring career path jobs back into our inner city, close to where the people who need a better opportunity live. Katie Robinson and Katie, say hi. Katie, my long-suffering business partner, Katie Robinson and I founded Fortuity to create hundreds of jobs that are readily accessible on public transportation. These jobs can be obtained with a high school equivalency and a demonstrated willingness to work, even if the work experience has no relevance to call center. They don't have to have call center experience. Since we heard from the Women's Fund, I'll also mention that we expect 75 to 80% of our employees to be women, and the vast majority of them to be moms. That's what this is focused on. We are focused primarily, but not exclusively, on women who are raising children in our inner cities. At first, we thought making these jobs accessible was going to be enough, that all we had to do was be open to hiring people without experience and be willing to invest heavily in training them up and helping them. We chose the outsourced call center business because our leadership team, and that's 5 folks, not just Katie and me, and we have partners, has 100 years of experience managing large corporate call centers. Those call centers that we've managed employ more than 5,000 people. So if you apply a turnover rate, we have managed tens of thousands of people in this industry. We've serviced customers for Bank of America, Wells Fargo, The Limited, Pottery Barn, MedChoice, and many others. Call centers have a defined career path. That's really important. Everybody understands the opportunities to gain skills, to gain experience, to get a promotion, to get more responsibilities, and to earn more money. And part of the business model is continuing to invest in folks, because the more they can do, the more valuable they are to customers, and the more that we can charge from customers for their skills, and that's how we pay them more. Fortuity offers people without experience a real path to advancement, real opportunity for higher wages. We've got 6 different promotional opportunities and raise opportunities that are defined, and they're on the wall. There's no secret about it. And it's not a funnel that gets really tight, because a lot of those promotions are going from a CSR 1 to a CSR 2, and it's merely an acknowledgement that they can do more, they do it better, and they get paid more for it. To help the employees advance, and that's part of our business model, we invest over time in more and more training to improve their skills and help them earn more. As they become more valuable to the business, they earn more. We call this using business principles to run a principled business. This is very different from the entry-level jobs in industries like restaurants, retail stores, housekeeping, janitorial, and warehouses, where the funnel gets really tight, really fast, and career advancement opportunities are fairly limited. In most of those industries, having a full-time job almost ensures that the person is going to stay in poverty. They're going to be part of the working poor the entire time they work there. There are 25,000 call center jobs in Central Ohio. Unfortunately, most of them are in affluent suburbs like Dublin and New Albany. Most of the folks that work there can't afford to live in those suburbs, so they have to commute from where they live to where they can get a good job. If they utilize public transportation, they may ride 2 or 3 buses to get from our low opportunity neighborhoods where they live to the higher opportunity affluent suburbs where they can work but they can't afford to live. If they have to add child care in there because they've got an underage child, it might mean adding a 3rd or a 4th bus ride each way every single day. Our leadership team met with numerous experts that have served our low-income inner city neighbors for decades, and I'm thrilled the lights are still on. We asked a lot of questions. All the dumb ones came from me. The rest of the team are smarter than I am. We listened, and we tried to learn from their experience. We spoke frequently with Matt Habash at the Mid-Ohio Food Bank. Matt confirmed our belief that the only way out of poverty is through skills and sustained employment. He told us poverty is complicated and it has to be viewed holistically. You can't address one dimension of poverty and expect to solve it. He told us nonprofits and agencies must work together collaboratively if they're to affect change. As you can imagine, he also taught us a little bit about food security, nutrition, and making sure you deliver the services close to where these folks live. Gina Ginn, say hi, Gina. I told you I was going to call all of you out, is the executive director of Columbus Early Learning Centers. Love this organization. For 132 years, CELC has existed in Central Ohio, and their mission has been to provide early education and child care for working poor parents. CELC literally enables working poor parents to work because they provide access to affordable, safe, quality care for young children while the parents work. And the requirement of Title 20 is that they have to be working full time. It's a very logical subsidy. Gina taught us that many of our employees will be working parents. And if we don't address their child care needs, they're unlikely to keep the job. That's going to be a recurring theme as we go through this. You can get them the job, but there's this horrible turnover rate, and even the 1-year retention rate is typically low, and it's because of factors that have little to do directly with the job. Gina also taught us that if we don't address what happens when the child gets sick, the parent is also unlikely to keep the job. Now, I have to mention that my wife, who has been a very strong supporter of this project too, she's another of the brilliant women that support this project, was grew up in Linden and was a single working mom for many years. She claims that Gina didn't teach us about the sick child problem. She did. I think they're both right. Beth Gifford's also here. Beth isn't feeling terribly well today, but she still made it. Thank you. Beth is the president and CEO of Columbus Works, the Central Ohio affiliate of Cincinnati Works. It's a nationally recognized program with a Harvard business case written about its effectiveness that has helped 6,000 families rise from poverty into economic self-sufficiency through sustained employment. Last year, Columbus Works graduated nearly 100 Franklin County residents that were living in poverty and placed them in good jobs with, you have 50 partner employers now? It's an incredible statistic in workforce. 80% of folks who were living in poverty that weren't working enough that they could go to a one-week class during the day, 8 to 5, run it like a business, are still in that same job 1 year later.
Wow.
We believe it's market leading. We have not found another program that reports its metrics publicly that has that kind of effectiveness and retention.
Hey, Fred, I'm so into what you're saying, but I am going to have to ask you to wrap it up.
Yes,
though,
sir.
so we can.
I'll do
got
that.
a lot left on the agenda.
Okay. We want to thank you, the county commissioners. We want to thank your excellent staff. Economic development and planning, especially Jim and Michael, bought into this early. They've supported it consistently. I also want to compliment the structure of the program. It's very logical, and this partnering amount of monies over time matches what it takes to take someone from low skills to higher levels of pay. We could not have done this without your support and that of your excellent staff. We'd like to invite you to come and tour the site. It's a complicated project. You've seen the diagram. It's a lot easier if you come over onto West Broad Street and see us with us.
I'm anxious to do just
I'd
that.
love to invite you both.
Yeah, sure.
This is the reason that we started PeopleWorks. This project is what PeopleWorks is designed to do and be, and thank you all for what you're doing. This is a path out of poverty, good jobs, the stability with childcare, with food. I know you're going to be working with Matt continually with food security, getting people into jobs that are sustained, lifelong jobs is so critically important. So thank you.
We're very excited and we're grateful for the partnership. Thank you all.
But there's a saying that goes, the best social service is a good paying job.
Sure.
And I'll tell you what, I grew up in a very tough environment, and the thing that I can remember most about growing up was the day my mom was hired at the post office and got a job with benefits and
Yeah.
a steady paycheck, and she was safe, and she was
A lot of
learning
dignity
something.
in that.
Oh, the stability alone.
And it changed our lives.
Yeah.
It changed our lives. You would have thought that we hit the lottery coming from where we did, and so I think what you're saying is the project is one thing, but I think the concept is another, and it's something that, as Commissioner Brown stated, that we've embraced, and we've got multiple tentacles working to that end. You should say, for the record, where someone should go to apply for a job, who they should call, should they be watching or listening in.
Columbus Works will be front-ending the call center because some of the folks that approach us may be a better fit for other partner employers. So we will be standing up a new Columbus Works location at 750 Mount Carmel Mall in Franklinton very quickly.
And is there,
Yes.
so that's columbusworks.org,
Columbusworks.org.
that you can go to learn more information. Thanks, and
Great
I'll
nonprofit.
post about it myself. So
Thank you.
Thank you all.
I will move for approval of 251-18.
Second.
Moved and second voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 251-18 has been adopted.
And thank you, Michael, for working with them to get this together.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Resolution number 252-18, review a petition to annex 3.84.
The lights didn't even go out.
Yeah. Well, we're not finished. But I have faith in our electrical service people, I'll tell you.
Review a petition to annex 3.814 plus or minus acres from Mifflin Township to the City of Columbus, case number annex 06-18.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jenny Snap, Assistant Director, Economic Development and Planning. This resolution is to consider an expedited Type 2 annexation petition of 3.814 acres from Mifflin Township to the City of Columbus. The area to be annexed includes property located at 3756 Agler Road. That's north of Agler, west of Interstate 270, and east of Stelzer Road. The petition was filed by Agent Aaron Haydinger of Gandy Haydinger Group on behalf of the property owner Agler Properties. 6.7% of the site's perimeter is contiguous with Columbus, and the city passed resolution number 0625-2018 on March 5th, 2018, indicating the services that will be provided once the annexation is approved, and a statement regarding incompatible land uses and zoning buffer. Petition meets all statutory requirements outlined in the Ohio Revised Code, Section 709.021, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
Move approval of 252-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 252-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate the time this morning.
Sure. Homeland Security and Justice Programs.
Resolution number 253-18, authorizing acceptance of reallocation of funds from Franklin County Public Health for treatment, education, naloxone distribution in the amount of $40,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Daniels with the Office of Justice Policy and Programs. We have the first and third resolutions today. The first one, our office, in collaboration with Franklin County Public Health, has submitted an application and budget for public health reallocation funding awarded through the Ohio Department of Health in the amount of $40,000. The overarching goals of the initiative are to reduce the number of opioid-related overdoses and fatalities and to expand treatment capacity and compliance of justice-involved individuals. We specifically plan to use this funding to support expansion of our Pathways program to include hiring of peer support specialists who will work nights and weekends, and also to procure and distribute naloxone to individuals being released from the Franklin County Jail who are at high risk of overdose upon their release. The term of the funding expires August 30th, but we do hope to serve at least 100 justice-involved individuals, either through peer support contact and or through naloxone distribution. I have to give special thanks to Melissa Pearson in my office. This is the hardest anybody has ever worked for a $40,000 grant. And to Harold Anderson. Harold, we could not have done this without your leadership and your help. And to the Criminal Justice Planning Board for its emergency convening and passing the appropriate changes to the 4-year plan to allow us to accept this funding. Pending any questions, we'd ask for your approval.
Move approval of 253-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 253-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 254-18, authorizing a consultant contract with Fred C. Bowditch for continued professional services related to critical infrastructure protection and private/public partnership in the amount of $50,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is C.C. Wyrick. I'm on the Office of Homeland Security, and this is one of the simpler ones you'll have today. This resolution allows the Office of Homeland Security to continue a current contract that we already have had with Fred for many years. And those of you that know Fred Bowditch, he's a retired lieutenant from Columbus Police Department. His intelligence and experience and terrorist, his ability to do our risk assessments here locally at, just to name a few, Moffrey Stadium, Nationwide Arena, the convention centers, all critical infrastructures to our county, and he is trained to do infrastructure to prevent us from any kind of terrorist attack or any other attack. So he's very critical to the success of our office and the county. In addition to, he has a significant impact with the Jewish community, the Jewish Community Center, the Somali community. So Fred is kind of like our jack of all trades for our office, and he does anything and everything that we and you would ask him to do, and he does it well, and he represents the county to the utmost excellence. So pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
I will move approval of 25418, and please thank him for his great
I
work.
definitely will.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 254-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 255-18, authorizing the professional services agreement with Alvis Incorporated for the provision of case management and peer support services through Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Grant and Public Health Reallocation Funding in the amount of $9,500.
Commissioners, now that you've approved the $40,000 in the previous resolution, we're asking to spend the first $9,500 of that in a contract with Alvis Incorporated, specifically through their own or operation of Amethyst. We're hiring one peer support specialist from Amethyst. She'll work approximately 10 to 15 hours a week, again, mostly after hours and on weekends, to meet the ladies at jail when they get released, to provide transportation, to provide pro-social activities and other support services that only a peer can offer. Additionally, Alvis, Amethyst, and this person will take the lead on the actual physical distribution, handing the Narcan to folks when they're released from jail. If there are no questions, we would ask for your approval.
Move approval of 25518.
Hey, just explain to me. I'm not that well versed on the whole Narcan usage. So how does that work? So you distribute it to them, and then
So there's a really short training for this. The Narcan that we distribute is, and the Narcan that's carried by the EMS folks, they can actually administer it in a multiple of ways. They can do that by either nasal spray, they can do it by an injection. In the worst of cases, they actually drill in bone marrow and inject it directly into bone marrow. The ones we're giving out are they're about this big, and they look like a nasal spray that you would use for if you had an allergy, if your nose was clogged.
So they would be self-deployed? Is that how that
Yes,
works?
that's absolutely. They are self-deployed. Everyone who gets these goes through a short training that kind of shows you, here's how you open up the package, here's how you do it, here's how you administer it. I took the training at a Kroger pharmacy. I carry Narcan in my briefcase everywhere I go.
Interesting. Okay.
And if anybody would like that Narcan training, if you or your staff would like to actually have Narcan on you in case you're someplace where you need it. There was a person who overdosed in the ladies' room of the Kroger store that I shop at regularly just a couple of weeks ago. And had it not been for someone yelling at the pharmacist and him jumping over the counter with Narcan in his hand, she probably wouldn't have made it.
But I'm just trying to understand, I guess, the practicality of self-administering it, though. So if you,
I'm not sure that the idea, Commissioner, is that you're going to self-administer to yourself. I think the idea is that if you were at high risk of overdose, you're going to take this home and you're going to leave it with the people who you live with. And so if for some reason you were to slip up and overdose, it would be there for your mom or your roommate or whoever else it might be. It's also true that many of these women who are coming out of our program, if they themselves have an addiction, many of the people that they run with also have an addiction. And so it's very possible that they might need to administer it to one of their colleagues or one of their friends or one of their peers.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Second.
Moved and second voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 255-18 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Community partnerships.
Resolution number 256-18, authorizing a one-year contract with Franklin Park Conservatory to provide programs that foster environmental understanding and increase tourism in the amount of $500,000.
Commissioners, this resolution really supports the overall operations of Franklin Park Conservatory and many of the exciting projects that they have embarked on. We know in the last several years they have cut the ribbons and opened the doors wide of the Wells Barn, which is a beautiful, beautiful facility. I'm sure that you've all seen that. But one of the new exciting phases of development that the Franklin Park Conservatory will embark on this year is the development of the Children's Garden. And I have Jenny Pope here from the Franklin Park Conservatory just to tell us briefly about that exciting project.
So thank you so much. I'm Jenny Pope. I'm the Director of Community Outreach and Education at the Conservatory. And on behalf of the Conservatory, we cannot thank you enough for your support. We're really entering into a new era for the Conservatory by expanding our experience from 3 acres to 13. We can welcome in so many more Franklin County families, out-of-town guests, and create world-class gardens, offer blockbuster exhibits. But like Dana said, the thing that's got us excited the most is our children's garden. It's a 2-acre garden. It reflects Ohio's diverse landscape, and it was built for kids to get outside, play, have fun, but more importantly, to connect them to nature and plants, because we know there's a positive impact to our health and happiness as human beings. We involved a lot of kids in the process, the design process, and one of the things that came out in their work is rainbows. And as you enter the garden, you will see a beautiful stained glass arch, the sun rising and setting, and it's embedded with crystals. And when the sun's shining and you see your shadow, there'll be millions and millions of spherical rainbows. There's 16 garden galleries, lots to do. 2 more features are a canopy walk where the kids can get up in the trees. They will have a rope bridge, huge hammock lounge, but there's also panels that interpret Ohio wildlife and the ecosystems and the changing seasons. And then there's a 150-foot creek that looks like it was plucked out of Hocking Hills, that the kids can take off their shoes, get wet, and just have a great time. So we would love for you both to come to the garden, connect with nature and plants, come play with us. And we cannot thank you enough for supporting us. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you for a few minutes today.
Thank you. I'll move approval of 25618.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 256-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Resolution number 257-18, authorizing a 1-year contract with Franklin Park Conservatory in support of the Green Corps program in the amount of $25,000.
This resolution is in support of the Green Corps program, which I really can't say enough good things about. It's a workforce development program. It really helps young people to learn skills that they need to be successful in gaining jobs in landscape architecture and things of that nature. And Jenny, do you have any? I know that you're instrumental in the program as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the program helps young people, 18 to 24, develop rudimentary skills in landscape horticulture, greenhouse production, interior-scape. This year we have 11 trainees, amazing class. They come to us through Impact and Eckerd connections. And it's such a rich program. They have hands-on experience in the morning with our horticulture team, and in the afternoon they're working with one of our educators, Dr. Mark Miller, and they're really receiving college-level education in plant science. Most of our trainees are offered a job before graduation. We bring in, I think this year we're going to be bringing in 7 companies to come in and do interviews with our trainees. So they graduate here at the end of, or mid-April, I'm sorry, so in just a couple weeks. So we're very excited for them.
Great.
So thank you. Thank you for supporting that program as well.
Another jobs creation program.
Yes.
Which is wonderful. I'll move for passage of 25718.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 257-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 258-18, authorizing a 1-year contract with Mid-Ohio Food Bank to provide healthful foods to low-income Franklin County residents in the amount of $100,000.
Commissioners, this resolution supports the work that we do with the Mid-Ohio Food Bank, an amazing community partner who reaches thousands. They reach thousands of Franklin County residents with fresh food through produce markets, food pantries across the county. And last year and this year as well, they will bring millions of pounds of fresh produce, including fresh dairy products, to Franklin County residents so that they can really make healthful choices for their families when they shop at the food pantries. So pending any questions, I would request approval of this resolution.
Move for passage of 258-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 258-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
TFM.
Resolution number 259-18, authorizing the county administrator to exercise option to extend the term of the lease with the Ohio State University for leased space to house the morgue and associated laboratory and office operations of the Franklin County Coroner.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Long, Deputy Administrator. As you know, the county is in the process of designing and constructing a new forensic science center, which will house the operations of the Coroner's Office. The Coroner's Office has been on OSU's campus since 1975 and is still there as we go through the process of constructing the new facility. In 2014, the county entered into a 3-year lease with Ohio State with 2 consecutive options to extend the term of the lease. This would authorize the county administrator to authorize those extensions of the lease. We've been in constant contact with Ohio State, and this is just an administrative process as we go forward with the process of the new build. So pending any questions, would recommend your approval of this resolution.
Move for passage of 259-18.
Deputy Director, Administrator, rather, I would like to request a briefing on of the morgue facility. I have not
Sure.
had that opportunity to kind of see where we are with the facility or learn
Happy to do that.
what's being done. So that'd be great if you could help quarterback
Absolutely.
that for me. Great, thank you. Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 259-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Purchasing.
Resolution number 260-18, approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $3,087,417.03.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carl Hughes representing the Purchasing Department. The resolution before you requests approval of 100 purchase orders. Of the purchase orders this week, Commissioner, there are 5 purchase orders for small emerging business enterprise, which equals 5% of the purchase order volume. Commissioners, like last week, there was a significant PO in the proof list for $2.66 million disbursement to the county land bank. By removing that amount, we can determine a true comparison of the SEVE Small Emerging Business Enterprise effort. The total PO dollars that were available for the small emerging business enterprises was $992,716.95. And when you compare their total PO dollar amounts of $35,008.50, it equals 4% of the purchase order dollar value. These purchase orders have been pre-certified as availability funds by the county auditor. If any questions, I recommend their approval.
Move approval of 260-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 260-18 has been adopted.
Thank you. Thanks, Board of Commissioners. Thank you, Carl.
Resolution number 261-18, authorizing the issuance of sales tax supported bonds from time to time for the purpose of paying the cost of permanent improvements of refunding debt issued by the county for that purpose, and authorizing the execution and delivery of a master trust agreement providing for the rights of the holders of the bonds and pledging certain revenues and funds to secure those bonds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Tularic with the Office of Management and Budget. At the dais with us is the county's bond counsel, Emmett Kelly and David Rogers from Frost Brown Todd.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
And this first resolution basically sets the framework for the issuance of sales tax-backed bonds. The county previously has issued only limited tax, general obligation, or non-sales tax special obligation bonds. So this, as part of the master trust agreement, will set the framework for any issuances going forward. And if you have anything else to add.
I would just add that the 3 resolutions you have before you allow for flexibility with respect to the financing structure and with respect to the legal aspects. So,
Great. I'll move for approval of 261-18.
I'm just checking one thing. Yeah, second.
Moved and second voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 261-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 262-18, authorizing the issuance of sales tax supported bonds in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $266 million for the purpose of financing the construction of the new jail facility owned by the County of Franklin, Ohio, and certain other improvements to county facilities, including but not limited to financing, modernization, upgrades to all the elevator units in the office tower owned by the County of Franklin, Ohio, and other permanent improvements, and authorizing related documents and agreements, including a first supplemental trust agreement, an official statement, a bond purchase agreement, a continued disclosure agreement.
Commissioners, this resolution would authorize the issuance of up to $266 million in sales tax-backed bonds. Of that amount, approximately $200 million would be related to the new jail facility that's been talked about previously. An additional $50 million would be for various facility improvements, including the elevator modernization project that is currently underway by the Public Facilities Management. Also, pending approval of the CIP, there's a number of larger scale projects that could potentially be supported with bond financing, including various roof replacements, this building and other county facilities, as well as with this facility reaching 30 years, a number of systems may be reaching the end of their useful life, so this will give us flexibility. For example, replacing windows and the radiant HVAC system connected to that, which a couple years ago was estimated to be a $25 million project. So this will give us flexibility to be able to include those projects in the upcoming issuance, looking towards early June for closing of that deal. And then the remaining amount would provide any monies that would be required for a debt service reserve fund if required to ensure the bond rating and the security on those bonds.
So this is an up to amount.
That is correct. It does not necessarily mean that that will be the amount that is issued. This just, again, going back to what Emmett had said earlier, that gives us the most flexibility going forward.
And that makes sense to have the flexibility. I'll move for passage of 262-18.
Second.
Moved and second voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 262-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 263-18, authorizing the issuance of bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $50 million for the purpose of renovating and improving certain facilities owned by the County of Franklin, Ohio, and authorizing related documents and agreements.
Kind of continuing on the flexibility theme, this resolution would actually allow for the bonds to be issued for facility improvements to be issued as limited tax general obligation rather than sales tax-backed bonds. That will be dependent on market conditions at the time of the sale. If it's a lower cost to issue the bonds as limited tax general obligation, the county can proceed that way. But again, this gives us flexibility. It's an up to amount, does not require us to issue the full $50 million. But again, with the number of projects, it gives us that flexibility. So pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
Will we do these in one transaction, or will it be multiple transactions within one transaction, or just?
I believe it would be multiple within the same transaction. There would be separate official statements since limited tax versus sales tax.
Sales tax. And then, so I want to make sure I understand, Frost Brown Todd is the bond counsel. Who's the FA? Who's our FA for these transactions?
Umbaugh and Associates is the financial advisor or municipal advisor for the county.
Okay.
And just, I would point out, Commissioners, that $50 million is not in addition to the 266. It's just, it would be part of it.
A portion
Right.
of this. Of
Just
that.
depends on how these ultimately get issued.
Great.
Thank you.
That clarification is important. I'll move approval of 263-18.
Second.
Moved and second voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 263-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And are there any journalizations?
No.
Thank you. That concludes our meeting.